Hey kids, this is Mark Arm from Mudhoney.
I'm Kevin Martin from Cannabis.
This is Nicole Alvarez from the world famous K-Rock.
Hi, I'm Dave Cruzen.
I am Matt Vaughn from Easy Street Records.
This is Richard Stuverud.
Hey, I'm James Joseph from James and the Cold Gun.
This is Jeremy Toback from band Brad.
And this is the State of Love and Trust.
State of Love and Trust.
State of Love and Trust.
A Pearl Jam podcast.
Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. Feed that algorithm.
Welcome to another episode of the State of Love and Trust. It's a Pearl Jam podcast, and I'm one of your two hosts, Jason Kerepesi, and alongside me, as always, is
Paul Ghiglieri.
Ooh, I love that drum fill there. Was that the Stevie drum fill?
I wish.
You know, Paul, we often, in fact, I don't believe we've ever worn the same shirt at the same show.
Have we not? At the same show? So. No. I think
no, like of our show.
Been one and no. I think we consciously planned this in advance. Like, what are you wearing? What am I wearing? Well, guess what?
Look at that. We're celebrating.
Look at us. Who would have thought, huh? Not me.
We are celebrating the 30th anniversary of Vitalogy, Pearl Jam's third album, 1994, and you know we're actually kind of betwixt the two dates because you've got the vinyl release on November 22nd, just happened, and you got the CD and cassette release on November 29th? I always forget exactly when it was. So we're between the two. What do you got there? You got the Digipack?
I got the thing.
Wow.
Still smells like 1994.
And your cologne?
Yes.
Was it Noir Dracor? What were you spraying those days?
I don't remember. It's probably like Cool Water or something ridiculous back in the 90s.
Sport.
Exactly.
what were preteens supposed to do, you know? Anyways, got to impress the ladies in high school. Hi, how's it going out there in podcast land? I'm Jason, that is Paul, and we're doing a little podcast today. And before we get into things, I want to make sure that you know that you should be liking this video, subscribing to this channel, and hitting the bell for notifications so that you know when new videos come out on this channel. And if you are an OG listener doing the audio only, Paul.
Well, they should rate, they should review, and hopefully they should subscribe on their preferred podcast platform of choice. Feed that algorithm. Thanksgiving's right around the corner, huh?
It's like 2 days from now, Paul.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like I got pies. I got stuffing.
Yeah.
I got a bird. I got a bird brining. Wet brine.
Algorithm is hungry. Yeah. So let's not brine us.
Ooh.
Brine the algorithm.
Brine the algorithm. That's a first. Yeah. Anywho, it is November still. We've got 1 week to go on a November fundraiser, and that is for Wounded Warrior Project. The B-roll is on your screen right now. The QR code is on your screen right now. Go ahead and scan that. Send some money over to a fabulous organization that helps our veterans when they return home. They need our help. They deserve our help. They sacrifice so much for us. The least we could do is send a few bones over to Wounded Warrior Project.
Least.
Pardon me.
And very least.
Yeah. So you got one more week to do that. And if you send $5 or more in through that link there you go. Podcast sticker and pin set. And you can either scan that QR code or you can go into the description of this video on YouTube, where you can go into the bio of literally everything that we have on social media. And there's the link. So go ahead and donate today.
A little bit of that. We got some things.
What does that mean? You know what we do have, Paul? We've got a gift. We've got a carrot. We're dangling carrots.
Is it this carrot? Oh,
no.
Wow.
It's a lovely carrot, though.
I like that carrot.
The person that donates the most money to Wounded Warrior Project this month, they will receive a copy of this.
Oh boy, Brad's Butte.
Mm-hmm.
Got that guy right down here.
He just wrapped up a couple of book. What do you call those things when you roll over to the bookstore and you talk to the people? What are those called? Signing events.
Signing events. Yeah.
Little Q&As. He just did one in Seattle and did one down here in Los Angeles, and it's a lovely book, and you could get it for the price of however much you want to donate to Wounded Warrior Project. So go ahead and do that. Now, you can also support this show. We've got hosting fees and all that stuff. And if you want to help us out, Patreon is the way to go. A lot of extra cool stuff over there. Extra.
Always very grateful.
Audio shows, video stuff. And we do a giveaway each month to one lucky patron. Completely at random. This month, Paul, they're going to copy this.
I'm still reading that thing.
It's
you
lovely.
know what? It's like the definition of a classic, according to Mr. Samuel Clemens.
Ooh.
It demands being reread over and over and over again. I find something new in these takes every time I go through it.
I'm going to read you a quick snippet from the pilot entry, because that's where I opened. Notable performances: San Diego Sports Arena in 2000, and the old Members Equity Stadium in Perth, Australia in 2009. Mm-hmm. Who knew? Check them out. Why are they notable? I don't know. But Brandon and Stip do. And they're the ones who wrote the book. So
that's one of the coolest parts of that book is you're flipping through. In addition to gaining this insightful unpacking of each track, you also get to go down this live rabbit hole where you're exploring these notable performances. And it's just what better way to just experience Pearl Jam than reading a book about music and listening to that music along with it.
And if you're curious as to what the authors had to say about it, last week's episode, we'll link to it up here in the corner here on YouTube. That we talked to both the guys about the book, and we took out some excerpts, and they explained themselves, and it was quite good fun. So go check that out if you haven't already. Last bit of news, Paul, before we dive into this week's episode. The people have been clamoring.
Have they now?
They have been clamoring for an easy way.
Clamor.
An easy way to support the show. We're wearing podcast t-shirts.
We are.
And up until now, it was like a whole it was trying to get a green card here in the US. You got 47 documents. It takes you 5 years. It's a whole thing. But now you can just go ahead and go online. You can log on, and there's an online shop. And it's dropping. It's happening this Friday, Black Friday. And you can buy this. You can buy hoodies, mugs, pint glasses. No snifters yet, though.
No.
Those aren't available. Magnets.
Speaking of snifters, there you go.
So, all the old shirts are going to be available. I'm going to put, on the screen right now, we're going to give you a taste of, there's 2 new fan designs by Andrew Taylor. Thank you, Andrew. You're a mensch.
Yes.
So 2 new designs are coming out on many things that you could purchase, including a t-shirt. And they're on the screen right now. So those are the 2 new designs. And we really appreciate anyone who's going to buy a shirt or a mug or whatever, because it does help us maintain the show, like I said, with Patreon, and it will allow us to give you even cooler content and invest more in the show and give you guys more and more and more, because you deserve more and more and more.
You do. In addition to that, though, it's a wonderful way to support these fantastic artists, because I'll tell you what, I didn't make this, right?
No.
I had some thoughts. And Jason and I do the best to, communicate.
What if we did this?
Yeah, what if we did this?
Okay, that's as far as we went.
That's basically. So
yes. Karen Tigerson made this. She's lovely. Thank you, Karen.
Absolutely.
And this design is also Karen. And you can
these
also buy
stickers
that.
that we keep sending.
You can buy that in slip mat form too, by the way.
It's a must-have. Infidelity to fidelity.
The 2 new designs by Andrew are fantastic. They're very fun. One of them is very on brand for 1995, if you catch my drift. And if you want to go over there and check it out on Black Friday, we would really appreciate it. Otherwise, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
All right. So we've done this a couple of times. It is, I don't know what we call it, Write a Song. I guess it's called Write a Song, the album. And the idea is that you comb through the lyrics of the entire album and you make a new song based on lyrics from across the album. For me, that means you try and think about what the themes are and boil it down through songs across the album. What was, because I have some thoughts on how I came upon my song. Paul, do you have any opening salvos on your process?
the way I go about this essentially is I dive into the album, I listen to it from front to back, and I make notes of the lyrics that stand out, the ones that speak to me. And then I start looking for some inroads, some through lines. And invariably, I find myself kind of gravitating towards not necessarily like a narrative, but as you know, I have a tendency with this exercise to go more in the direction of like prose poem. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, I find myself experiencing kind of like an understanding of narrative or a position or a speaker emerges, if you will. And I just kind of let that voice guide which direction this goes in. And ultimately, the lines essentially it's like it's magnetic. They just kind of pull lines from various tracks in, and that becomes this prose poem. What's interesting, though, is I managed to get something from every track off this album.
Did you really?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. So,
for me, we're talking about Vitalogy. It was such a difficult time for the band, right? I mean, we all know this. This was a transitional album, at least for me. It's kind of between who they were and what the general public and media expected them to be, and then what they wanted to be to stay in control of their own destiny. And it should be noted, this is very much driven by Ed. I think that's not a secret. And we all saw him struggling with being the face of this band, as it became this rocket ship over those first couple of years. And he had his face on magazine covers and this, that, and the other thing. And he was the one that everyone was focusing on in his process for dealing with this and finding a solution that worked for him and the band. That's within this album. And like I said, Vitalogy is a transitional album. It is meant to be uneven. It is meant to be different. It is meant to be challenging, but also familiar. And oddly, despite announcing their intentions to distance themselves from that, which made them megastars, they've written and recorded some of the catchiest songs to date. So I had to ask myself, how would I encapsulate all of that through lyrics from across the album into this new quote-unquote song? It was interesting, and I don't think I hit every song. Some songs just did not have the words to meet what I was trying to do. With that said, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
Sure.
Sure what?
I'll go first.
Okay, you go first. All right, here we go.
All right, so a song or a prose poem, if you will, composed from a wide array of lyrics from the album Vitalogy. Here we go. Winded is the sailor, drifting by the storm. Gorgeous was his savior, sees her, drowning in his wake. Daily tastes the salt of her tears, but a chance blamed fate. She lies and says she's in love with him, can't find a better man. She dreams in color, she dreams in red. She once believed in every story he had to tell. One day she stiffened, took the other side. Once divided, nothing left to subtract. Some words when spoken can't be taken back. He walks on his own with thoughts he can't help thinking. The future's above, but in the past he's slow and sinking. Empty stares from each corner of a shared prison cell. One just escapes, one's left inside the well. Let the oceans swell, dissolve away my past. 3 days, maybe longer, won't even know I've left. The smallest oceans still get big, big waves. Let the sun climb, burn away my mask. 3 days, maybe longer, shed my skin at last. Shed, but saw the trapdoor in the sun. Let my spirit pass. It's the only thing I want so much. Davanita, it's priceless to me. Cannot find the comfort in this world. Artificial tear, vessel stabbed, vulnerable, wisdom candid here, and he who forgets will be destined to remember. I still remember. This is not for you. Restless soul, enjoy your youth. All that's sacred comes from youth. Dedication, naive and true, can't escape from the common rule. If you hate something, don't you do it too? Only you deserve conceit. Don't need a hand, there's always arms attached. Why must we trust all these rusted rails? I'm just like you. Think we've had enough. Can't let you roam inside my head. I don't want to take what you can't give. Everything has chains. Absolutely nothing's changed. Standing, sitting, kneeling. And now the questions. Who made up the myth that we were born to be covered in bliss? Bean.
Jesus. You know, every time I have you go first, I'm always like, why am I even doing this? I did not think that some of those lines could be woven together. Because we're picking from the same lot. It's not like you're coming up with stuff that I don't have access to. And yet the way that you found, I think it was very early on too, between Nothing Man, Better Man and Tremor Christ. Like already I was like, oh man, I see where this is. Okay. All right. And it really kind of hammers home, but by having those things back to back, it actually hammers home each of them individually as well. What was your theory here?
There was that image of a sailor just drifting. There was something about that, and even if you view it as metaphorical, this idea that you're adrift in life, and there's a relationship, and there's an irreconcilable gap or divide, and that can't be crossed, and it's this constant review and process and recycling and analysis or paralysis by analysis, if you will. And I got a lot of that from this album, to be honest with you. There's this pervasive paralysis from overanalysis. And I can't help but think that that's not accidental when you consider the context by which this album was created and what was going on with the band and with Ed at the time. And there's just a lot of anger, but not alienation and anger in the sense that we saw in Verses and 10. It's very, very different because they were at a different level at that point in time. They had reached a pinnacle that I don't even think they thought was possible. And it takes its toll. And there's something about this preservation of life and that this study of the human spirit and of human nature and the inner dynamics of a relationship and what each person can ultimately endure in themselves. And
that's a great word, endure. Other. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that makes me think of the ship, the Endurance, and how, which is a tragic tale in and of itself. But I don't know. I that was the imagery that I was getting from these lyrics, and it was amazing how I'm going through every one of these songs, even Stupid Mop and Aida Avenida and Bugs, and there's always just the one line in there that's like, that one fits. Yep. That one is, it's like a magnet just pulling it out, and that's the metaphor I used. And
well, I enjoyed it, and I was, I don't think you used Pride 2.
I did use Pride 2.
You did?
I did, yeah. It's priceless to me.
Oh, you just plucked that part out.
I plucked the
son of a basketball. All right. Well, let's try mine on for size here.
Let's do it.
You know how Garden starts and is like really kind of under the music, the kind of like sort of singing from Ed that you can barely understand. Mm-hmm. I'm starting that way. Privacy is priceless to me. And then it begins properly. Once divided, nothing left to subtract. Some words when spoken can't be taken back. And I can still fantasize, but I keep it to myself. Keep it to myself. Keep it to myself. I think I deserve to be loved, don't you? Let the ocean swell, dissolve away my past. 3 days and maybe longer. Won't even know I've left. Everything has chains. Absolutely nothing's changed. I don't want to be held in your debt. I'll pay it off in blood, let I be wed. I'm already cut up and half dead. I'll end up alone like I began. All that's sacred comes from youth, dedications naive and true, with no power, nothing to do. I still remember. Why don't you? Little secrets, tremors, turn to quake. The smallest oceans still get big, big waves. Everything has chains. Absolutely nothing's changed. Don't need a hand, there's always arms attached. I don't get behind, I can't fall back. Ransom paid the devil. He whispers pleasing words. Triumphant are the angels if they can get there first. Everything has chains. Absolutely nothing's changed. A truant finds home and a wish to hold on, but there's a trapdoor in the sun. Immortality.
Very well done. I like the you get the pre-chorus and the chorus, and you can. I mean, again, we always tack different. I always go the prose poem route with this, and you go more in the traditional song structure, or some variation of that anyway. And I really got a sense of that it's a conversation that's happening between these, but we're only hearing one side of it, obviously. And it's the frustration and the helplessness that comes with the lack of agency in the other person, the fact that you're working towards something and it's not producing the desired result, and you feel chained and imprisoned by it. And you wish the other person could see things from your vantage point, because you know what I mean? Yeah, that to me was the main theme. And there's so much tension on this record. There's wanting division and separation when you can't have it, but being divided when you don't. It's a really wild dichotomy that I tried to convey across this song, this battle of agency and personal ownership. But also the need to not do it alone. Like, it's still us against them, but who is us, and can we maintain that? So by getting one side of the story, and that battle of like, but can you be over there, but don't go too far, because I also need you. And there's that wrestling, and that felt like Vitalogy to me. Like, what do we really want out of this? It's almost confused and conflicted. I think that about sums up the record, to be honest with you.
It's such an interesting record in that way, because it's, at least to that point for sure, it felt like the most, not chaotic, but it just didn't know exactly which way it wanted to go. That's why I called it a transitional record, because it's not quite no code, but it's also not 10 in verses. But
it's not aimless though.
It's not aimless.
I mean,
It's kind of if you're in a dark room and someone tells you that there's, an enemy in there, a person that's going to hurt you in there, you just start punching wildly in all directions because you don't know where it's coming from. And it's kind of like that, but flip it, where it's like you think everyone's out for you. And so you're swinging everywhere. But at the same time, you don't think you can do it by yourself. And so there's that wrestling, that conflict. Such an intriguing record in 30 years on. I'm curious out there what you guys would put together. I conspicuously left out Spin the Black Circle. I left out, I had Bugs in for a while and I just couldn't make it work. As I wanted to try and do every song like you did. But I think I was missing, I definitely need to. But I did get Foxy Mop.
You did. You did
very,
get Foxy
very
Mop.
early on. I was like, this works perfectly for me off the top with Nothing Man. So what do you guys say out there in podcast land? How would you put together your own song / prose for this record? 30 years on. And what do you make of our distillation of the themes? Is it chaotic? Is it tension filled? Is it actually more aimed than we made it out to be, or that I made it out to be? Let us know in the comments wherever you comment. Now, Paul, it is just a couple of days as this episode comes out before Thanksgiving. Now, what do we always do around this time of year?
I think we focus on this idea of gratitude.
Yep.
We reflect, and we take an opportunity to express that gratitude to each other and to the greater audience and the Pearl Jam community at large. That's what we like to do here.
All right. Well, you want to kick us off with your first one?
Sure. I can do that. I can kick us off with the first one. Yeah.
Oh, what does he have? What does he have? Oh my God. Is it really solstice season?
It's the first one of the year.
He's spilling all over his desk.
That did not go the way you thought it would. No, it actually did. Actually,
were you really saving that for this part of the show?
I was.
Oh, God bless you.
It's just been hanging out here waiting for its day.
Solstice. And, that means I got to go to the store tomorrow.
Okay.
Mama ain't raised no fool. I got to get over to Total Wine and get myself a whole grip of them.
Oh, crap.
Actually, I still have a couple of fall Hornins waiting in the
I know you do.
The fridge, so I'll knock those bad boys out.
So no, I
Go ahead.
I don't want to mislead our good
Yes.
listeners and viewers into thinking that the whole purpose of this was to express my gratitude to Anderson Valley and its winter solstice.
That's a bonus.
No, but I am grateful for the opportunity to count Pearl Jam as an important part of the holiday season. And this goes back to the Christmas singles back in the day. It extends even further into, Halloween shirts for a period of time. It extends even further into 12 Days of Pearl Jam, right? Which we enjoy as well. It's just wonderful that the band continues to find ways to weave itself into the fabric of what the holidays are all about, which is connecting with people and enjoying each other's company and spreading the love and grounding ourselves in community. And so to that, I am very grateful.
Well, I'm going to start off with something pretty tactile, and that is Dark Matter, the record. This is a record that I think many of us needed. I would argue it's optimism, or at least it's recognition that, while we feel, that our mortality may be closer more than ever, it's us that's keeping us alive in this community and reaching out and asking people if they're okay. And you can't forget that. And I feel like this record is a reminder to do that. And I think the tour compounded those feelings.
Yeah.
I think it invigorated, both on a personal level and one for our show, of course. But when you have a record like Gigaton that isn't able to fly fully because of the pandemic, had a delayed launch, if you will. It's kind of like one of those early Wright Brothers planes. It's kind of popping off the tarmac because it can't quite get in the air. Not that it didn't fly. We still had a great time with the Gigaton tour and the Gigaton record, but it's unfortunate it didn't get a chance to truly fly. And so when Dark Matter came around, I was like, "Ooh, this was needed."
We had a proper release.
Yeah, and you could feel how excited the guys were that they had a proper lead up to a launch, and they got to do all the things, the Troubadour show and the London listening party, and people actually got to go to the theater this time around and listen to the album and watch it and the visualizers.
Yep.
And they got it done properly, and it feels like an accomplishment, and it feels like, hell yeah, we all needed this, and so I'm stoked for that. So thank you, Pearl Jam, for releasing Dark Matter this year and the tour.
And I'm with you, and I think for similar reasons. For me, that's the second one as well. We've been doing this show since 2020, and every year we have not been able to say that we're grateful for a new Pearl Jam album. And this is one of those years. And unlike Gigaton, which was interrupted by a global pandemic and colored by that as well, we finally, during this experience, were able to enjoy, as you said, a proper record release. And I think it was wonderful for us to have graduated the show from where we started to where it's at now, mostly for the community that we've been able to enjoy and we've been able to foster. I don't want to say create, because I don't believe we created this community, the show community. I think it's all of you who are watching and listening. You created the community. We're just there to foster and facilitate, quite frankly. And this record really provided all of us with an opportunity to connect more, to engage more, to see each other, and it provided a platform for all of us to just meet new people and exchange new ideas and experience Pearl Jam, reflect on Pearl Jam, and listen to Pearl Jam in a whole new way together for the first time. And I thought that was really special. And along with that, and I think this is part of the grander scheme of it as well. It's just the opportunities that have come along in terms of the wonderful people we've had on the show to speak to, the great guests that we've had, the folks that we've had the privilege of meeting in person and spending time with and getting to know. This isn't about name dropping. I'm just in general. I'm very grateful for the way that the community has expanded to include some of those folks in their own respective ways, and so that's really important to me as well, and it means a lot, and so I'm very grateful for that.
That's kind of my number 2 as well. The fact that this, I mean, we keep using the word community, but that's kind of what this thing is all about. It has grown a lot this year, and that's great for the show. But it's I'm going to be selfish and say it's great. I feel good because I'm meeting all these new people, regardless of what back that I'm on the TV or I'm on the audio thing. It's the fact that this has allowed us to meet you guys and vice versa, and it's like you said, making friends at the shows. How about the Wishlist pre-party live stream down there in Hawthorne before the gigs in May, and then me and Step a year ago in Austin, and we every year we do this show, and deeper into the fan community we go, and it feels very welcoming. And so you meet some people who have been to a million shows, and they welcome you into their part of the world, and then you meet people like Shihan, you meet people like Step, you meet people like Laura DiMartini, you meet people like Rich Wilson, Jakob Van Herden, who is one of the newer people who's really crushing it with the rail people, if I can say that, or the hardcores. He's really doing a great job of documenting what it's like to be in that group. There's a great gal named I don't know her last name. Her name is Chrissy. She makes bespoke tour date stickers.
It's the best.
Of her own.
I love that.
She just makes them up and just gives them away for free. And they're so damn cool. She gave me one at the LA show when I was in the merch line.
And the bracelets?
The bracelets.
The bracelets?
Christy Borgman makes these Taylor Swifties style bracelets. I got a few of them. So this is what makes me smile the most. We can talk about Vitalogy and all these albums and Dark Matter and till the cows come home, and we will. But it's the people who've come onto the tent. All we did was shine a spotlight. We did the whole Batman thing. Hey, talking Pearl Jam, and people showed up and like, okay, let's nerd out. And that's all it was. And it continues to be a bigger spotlight, and it continues to be a bigger group of people that we just love. So thank y'all for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you got? You got one more?
I got one
more. All right.
Yeah. So for me, I think the most important thing that I'm grateful for is that Pearl Jam continues to inspire. I alluded to that when I spoke about Dark Matter, but we didn't really dive into the actual sonic qualities of that album when either one of us mentioned that. Ultimately, this was a record that represented a departure from some of their early music in the best of ways on a lot of levels. And it means a lot to me, and I'm very grateful that this is a band that continues to find ways musically to stay inspired, challenge themselves, to grow, to evolve, and to produce music that speaks to so many people, that continues to be relevant. Music that ultimately cultivates community, but more importantly, it sparks change, and it piques the interests and the critical thinking of its listeners. And I think that's important. That this isn't the high fructose content that Eddie alluded to a decade or so ago when thinking about the pop music scene at that time. There is an organic quality to this, and I mean that in the best of ways, no pun intended. But and so I'm grateful for what Pearl Jam is willing to push themselves to create. And I think it's important that when we talk about gratitude, you hear people say all the time, think of something that you can be grateful for. Choose gratitude. Find something that you can choose to be grateful for. Gratitude is not a choice. We like to think of it as though it is, but it's really a reaction more than a choice. Yeah. It's a reaction to what you have in life. And, we talk about react, respond, but I mean, this is a reaction, and to be grateful for something is ultimately to have that reaction. And it requires the clarity and the self-awareness to actually see how blessed so many of us truly are. And I think that, this is an opportune moment for all of us to be able to do that. And so if you're watching or listening right now, take a minute to react to the world around you, which may not always be kind. It may not always produce results that you agree with, but hopefully you have a lot of love in your life. Hopefully you have purpose, and you have a sense of direction, and you have meaning in who you are and what you're doing with your days, and the way you're spending the time that you have with the people who are important to you. And if you're doing that, then react in ways that show it. And that's how you express gratitude. So
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now.
My last one, you kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, and I'm going to kind of actually sort of use it to also turn the page and look forward. I know Pearl Jam is very much about, and they say it, or they at least they allude to it in interviews a lot, where they're not as, and I think Tim Bierman mentioned this as well, where the band, while they obviously honor their past, they are really interested in looking forward and they are excited about looking forward. So are we. So my last bit of gratitude for this year, and there's many, of course, but we're going to limit ourselves to 3. My last one is the band and its team. And I'm not going to get into specifics here, but I just got back from a very quick trip to Seattle. I did not make any content for the show. I did not record anything. It was simply about furthering the relationships that we've been making throughout this year. And like I said before, 2024 has been awesome for the show. 2025, I believe, will continue this upward trajectory of the kind of conversations and shows, interviews, and access that you all out there want to hear and see. Now, this episode today, this week, it celebrates 30 years of Vitalogy. It's an album notorious for the band seeking control over its identity and its agency, as we said, as well as its privacy. And there will always be a curtain that none of us are allowed to peek behind, and that is okay.
Yes, it is.
No one deserves to know anything. What we do know is a treat, and we're grateful for that. And we hope to help articulate some of the anecdotes and stories and the opinions of this band in even greater detail. Even greater detail, and with further reach next year in 2025. So I want to say thank you to everyone at Pearl Jam, Tim Bierman, the staff, the extended family members like the Matt Vaughns of the world, for believing in this show and its well-intentioned and passionate hosts, and the friends we've made this year, and the people that have said, you know what, you guys are asking questions and you do it from a good place. And I don't say that selfishly. I say that because I want everyone to know and to feel these conversations and to talk to these people. We're just the avatars. So hopefully, if I didn't screw the pooch, we're going to have a really fruitful 2025. And thank you all for being here. We got a few more episodes to go this calendar year. And then we'll take a few weeks off. We'll re-engage ourselves, fight off some of the prime rib and turkey weight that we've put on over the holidays. We got some really cool episodes coming up. We've got a couple of live events coming up. One of which is early next year, and one of which is coming up maybe even next week. Wink. That was actually a wink and a Dr. Evil at the same time. That's all for this week, guys. I feel like I've been talking a lot here. Before we get out of here, I just want to remind you that our November fundraiser is for the Wounded Warrior Project. They do great stuff. I said at the top of the show, man, they do great stuff. Go ahead and scan that QR code on your screen. Send them a few bucks, $5 or more. Sticker and pin pack from me and Paul. And the greatest donator to the Wounded Warrior Project gets a copy of Brad's book, From a Basement in Seattle. It's fabulous. And for anybody who wants to help this show stay on the air, Patreon is a good place to do that. There is a giveaway every single month to a random patron. This month, it's this book from Stip and Brandon, I Am No God, Pearl Jam Song by Song. It's flipping good.
Well, not only is that flipping good, but the Discord is flipping good. And I got to tell you, do you know why Blue Sky exists right now? Because people are looking for somewhere that's not just dripping with toxicity at this point in time.
Yes,
that's not just being bought and sold to special interests. So at the end of the day, if you're looking for a space that's welcoming and embraces the band, embraces the band's music and the band's messaging, then that's the place for you. And we welcome you. And we'll stay out of your way. You guys have some fantastic connections going on there, and it's a joy to be a part of. It really is.
Sometimes I poke my head back into one of the channels and I go, what the hell is going on here? And you're scrolling for like 5 minutes to see what, and it meanders sometimes. And you're like, okay, I'm out of my element
but
here.
There's
I'll come back.
so much love and respect and just, yeah, it's the best.
And last thing I'll say, a reminder, this Black Friday, the State of Love and Trust podcast online shop goes live if you want to support this show. And so we can do some really cool shit next year.
Hey, I'm sure you know somebody that wants a shirt. Come on.
I'm telling you right now, 2025 is going to be a good year. So help us make it a better year if you want. No pressure, but they're really cool shirts.
Very nice.
All right. Thank you guys. We really do appreciate you. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. And if you are audio only, Paul, what should they do?
They should rate, review, and subscribe on their preferred podcast platform of choice. Feed that algorithm so it does not devour us like a stuffed turkey.
A short one this week, guys. We know you have a lot to do. The kids have maybe no school or it's a half day. You're making pies. You got 3 ovens going at the same time. God bless you if you have 3 ovens. So we'll nip it in the bud. Keep it tight. Have a hell of a Thanksgiving if you're an American. If not,
absolutely.
Have a great Thursday. And we'll see you next week, maybe at a different time, maybe live. I don't know. We'll check with you then. Until then, you've been listening to or watching
The State of Love and Trust.